This is the brief on the Digital Engagement Intensity Tracker. So, what is this thing?
Before we get into the topic, these are our hardworking group members.
Well, it's a web dashboard, and what it does is pretty cool. It goes way beyond just logging activity. It actually tries to figure out what true user focus looks like by analyzing physical behaviors, like your keystrokes, your mouse movements, and even how you scroll.
In the world of digital analytics, user engagement is often treated as binary switch. A user is either active or inactive. But human behavior isn't black and white, it's too complex and fuzzy. So, we introduced the Digital Engagement Intensity System. Unlike the traditional trackers, this smart application uses fuzzy logic to quantify and qualify of user interaction in real time. It doesn't just count click, it interprets the behavior of the user. Moving on to the system logic, here is the brain behind the system. We map raw input such as keystroke, mouse distance, and scroll intensity using trapezoidal membership functions. This allows us to handle partial truth. A user isn't just fast or slow. They can be 16% medium and 40% high simultaneously. Here, the session that shows all the complete rule base that contains 27 rules programmed into the systems. As we can see at falsification input chart, the Y vertical line moves across the color shape. It shows that you aren't just fast or slow, but often a mix of both. This map your raw action to human-like understand to intensity. Now, look at the rule list below. This is the brain of the system. We don't hide the logic inside the black box, we light up. The glowing rows represent the specific rules that are activated now. If you stop typing, the system instantly switches to low active rules. This gives you complete transparency into exactly why the system generates your final engagement score. Finally, using the center of gravity method, we defuzzify the data into a single, precise engagement score. This isn't just data, it's insight. The DEI system bringing human-like reasoning to digital metrics.
First up, who's this really for? Well, a live demo showed it's targeting 3 core groups. You've got students and educators, right? For them, it can spot low participation in online classes in real time, which could really improve learning. Then there are developers. They can use it to see how people actually interact with their apps to make the user experience way better. And finally, digital marketers. This is huge for them. They can tell high-interest users from low-interest ones and totally tailor their strategies. Okay, second, this whole system tackles something called the binary trap. See, most trackers right now are super rigid. They just ask, is the user typing yes or no? But human behavior is messy. It just doesn't fit into these neat little boxes. A student typing at a moderate speed, that forces a binary system into a wrong category and you lose all that crucial data. And finally, there's the problem with contextless metrics. Raw data like total mouse clicks is pretty meaningless by itself, isn't it? A high click rate could mean intense design work, or it could be frustrated rage clicking. Without that context, these standard timers have no way of telling if you're being productive or just distracted. So when you boil it all down, the current industry standard of context-free, binary tracking just fails to capture the nuance of actual human behavior. To actually map the gray areas of our digital behavior. So how does it work? Well, first, it starts with what are called trapezoidal membership functions. Now, instead of just a simple on or off switch, these measure degrees of truth. Think of it this way. Someone typing at 55 words per minute isn't just fast or slow. The system can say they're, say, 60% medium and 40% high at the same time. Okay, second, the contextual inference engine takes that mixed data and makes sense of it using something called the Mamdani method. And get this, it processes 27 different if-then rules all at once to figure out what a user is doing. It uses what's called the men operator, which is basically just a really strict and to connect the dots. So if your keystrokes are low and your mouse movement is high, it knows your engagement is probably medium. But all that's still a bit fuzzy, right? So third, to get a hard number, the system uses centroid defuzzification. It's essentially using a bit of calculus to find the mathematical center of gravity for all that data, turning all those abstract inputs into one precise engagement percentage that you can actually use. And the payoff here is huge. This whole thing allows for real-time engagement detection and adaptive decision-making. It's not just counting clicks, it's truly interpreting the subtle ways we scroll, type, and move. So, in a nutshell, by mapping, processing, and then defuzzifying our raw behavior, the system gives us a much more realistic picture of human attention. Now you know how the math meets the mouse.
So we're looking at a massive upgrade in how user behavior is measured, something that goes way beyond simple tracking. First, this system gives you real-time engagement detection. It doesn't wait around. It uses a specialized engine to give you an immediate output on just how intense a user's engagement is in that very moment. Second, it handles uncertainty really well, and that's where fuzzy logic comes in. See, human behavior isn't binary. We're not just engaged or not engaged. This system models it much more realistically as low, medium, or high, which makes the results far more flexible. Third, the accuracy is just way better than traditional metrics. Forget about outdated things like click counts and time spent on a page. This is a behavioral evaluation. It looks at typing frequency, mouse movement patterns, and scroll behavior to see what's really going on. And finally, it makes adaptive and intelligent decisions. The fuzzy inference engine is dynamically evaluating all those different inputs and uses rule-based reasoning to produce that final engagement score. So, in short, this system replaces rigid, binary data with a dynamic, behavioral approach that actually understands how users interact in real time.
The revenue model. They're taking a two-pronged approach here. For you and me, it's a classic freemium deal. You get a free real-time dashboard, but if you want to unlock historical data or export files, you'll need a pro subscription. Then there's the institutional side. They're selling API access to universities, so learning platforms can spot exactly when students start tuning out in class. Second, let's talk viability. The biggest strength is what they call visual transparency. You can literally see how it calculates your score step by step. No AI black box, which is a huge plus for building trust. The main weakness, though, it's desktop only. Since it relies on mouse and keyboard events, it's a no-go on mobile or tablets. A browser extension could fix that, but the biggest threat is just privacy fears. People get nervous about anything that sounds like it's counting their keystrokes. And finally, the growth roadmap. They're moving fast. After pivoting from a simple efficiency meter in Phase 1, Phase 2 was all about the heavy tech work, like programming 27 complex logic rules and calibrating input thresholds. Now, Phase 3 is targeting a global launch, focusing on validating their core algorithms and getting those commercial API deals locked in. So while the technical foundation is really solid, the project's success absolutely hinges on balancing institutional sales with earning every single user's trust.
That's all of the presentation from us. Once again, thank you for watching.